Topanga and her father found themselves alone on the island. It was deserted. There was no sign of life. They thought if they could make it to the shoreline, they may be able to spot and signal a passing ship. The underbrush gave way to seagrass and sand. And finally, the shoreline came within view. The beautiful blue waves crashed gently on the island, and the sea opened up like a giant vista with 3 islands beyond. It was the kind of beach that you would normally see teeming with life, families, people, umbrellas, the screeching of children's voices, seagulls, and laughter. The one thing that wasn't right about this scene was that further down the beach, there was an object that made no sense to Topanga. She recognized it as some piece of wreckage, but it was long and silver and smooth, and she recognized it as something that didn't belong on the beach. It had damage on the front of it, like it had impacted the beach, or maybe it had fallen from the sky. Whatever it was, she had no idea that her father pulled some binoculars out of his canvas and leather bag and surveyed this object before them. He spotted on it a feature that looked like a door. It was round and circular in shape. It began to slowly turn and open. Suddenly, out of that opening, something rose up. Mr. Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This is an example of the kind of stories that I used to make up on the fly for my, at the time, young daughter, Lex. You see, I was a single parent and tasked with the job of raising a child, recently divorced, and having to make daily commutes with her back and forth to school, which was about a 40-minute drive from the house. In order to see my child, I had to make this commute, and I was looking for a way to fill the drive time with something to amuse us. The stories were based on a little girl and her father, and they did all sorts of amazing things. They had a house in the States, they had a home in the Bahamas, where they would stay at this vacation home and continue their exciting adventures. I would time the story so that just when we arrived at our destination, the story would reach a climax, a cliffhanger, if you will, that would be continued the next time I saw her. She would be filled with excitement each day as I picked her up from school or her mom's house, wanting to hear the rest of the story. It was a thing we did together for a number of years, and I enjoyed it as much as she did. It was something that I had never done before, making up adventure stories on the fly. I did not know I had this within me. It just sort of happened. I can't even remember if it was something that she asked me to do or something that I started doing on my own. The important thing here is that I discovered that I had this gift of storytelling. And it was a wonderful thing for my daughter and I, and a way to connect through the magic of imagination. I like to think I always had an active imagination, and she would remember where we had left off and encourage me to continue with the tale. Sometimes she would suggest plot ideas for me to talk about, like including vampires in the stories, or having the duo explore caves underground or travel to distant lands. We both grew to love this storytelling in the car, which could have been a boring time driving long distances at rush hour, but it wasn't. I know I enjoyed it as much as she did, the thrill of having these story concepts come to me so quickly, off the cuff, and then keep her hanging with plot twists and turns, excited to find out the next thing that was going to happen to the little girl and her father. The stories helped us to connect, we both must have found some part of ourselves within them. That's what storytelling does. It forges a connection with you and your audience. You both give into the illusion that you're going on a journey together, suspending reality for a brief time to mentally explore another world. And through storytelling, you can pass on an idea, emotion, or message as it is couched in a dialogue similar to reading a book or watching a movie. If done well, you're able to transport your listener's mind to the places you want them to see and communicate your message in a vehicle of your own design. Storytelling has a long history. It was the way us humans communicated long before a written word was available. Tribes of early humans would gather together and listen as leaders or elders recounted their people's origins, struggles, trials, and experiences. These stories would be passed on by word of mouth from one generation to the next, possibly morphing and changing as it traveled through time, but always with the key component, the message. The message can be a moral, a lesson, or a warning. It can be purely entertainment, humor, drama, overcoming adversity or loss. It is the seed that is carried within the story, the thing that hopefully is retained by the listener. As Maya Angelou said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will not forget how you made them feel. By making your audience feel a certain way, you are able to become a persuader. Persuasion is a skill to be learned, just as storytelling is. Think about the times in your life when someone said something to you and it changed you. It caused you to change your course in life. I know this has happened to you all at some point. That's when we grow, we improve, we become better than we were. That is the gift of the Word. The Word is one of the most powerful tools that we have in our arsenal. What we do have at our disposal to change the course of history, alter a person's opinion of something, or cause someone to give up a behavior that is hurting them, it's our ability to communicate. It's not weapons, war, or fighting. It's rhetoric, storytelling. And how do you get good at storytelling? By repetition. Doing it again and again. Reading books that break down the skills necessary to use the Word to persuade, teach, or change your listener's perception of a thing. Identifying what is important to you that you want to get across, or being aware of what someone in your life needs, and being able to help them grow with what you say to them. Within each of us is a storyteller. You have already done it if you've told a joke, opened up to someone about something that helped or hurt you, or recounted an adventure that you experienced. Now consider educating yourself in the ways of storytelling, its techniques, as the next step in your journey of learning to be a great communicator. That is why we are here, to learn how to relay the message that is within us, to help people to understand us and cause change and improvement in the world. Today, my daughter Lex, now 30, is a beautiful, intelligent human being. I have watched her grow into this amazing creation as she traverses life with all its trials and tribulations. I would like to think that these stories I told her many years ago gave flight to some of the things that she has been able to accomplish in her life. Places she has traveled, skills she has learned, and just like our ancestors, perhaps one day too, she will have someone to pass her message on to, just like I did on all those long rides years ago. Mr. Toastmaster.